Deal, I believe you get this one first. Again, this is the final water question. What will you do to protect Georgia's ability to access water in Lake Lanier?
Great question. Well, first of all, I think all of you know that I'm claiming full credit for having Lake Lanier full poo. So I'm claiming credit for it. Seriously though, we need to do several things. But we can't solve the Lake Lanier problem until we negotiate a settlement with Alabama and Florida. That's the bottom line. And they're not going to agree, and we're not going to be able to forcibly put legislation through Congress if you've got Alabama and Florida ganged up against us. We've got to resolve it to what is the mandatory water flow at the state line that they are going to have, and we can reach reasonable conclusions on that. Once we do that, let me tell you what we can then do. We can then raise the level of Lake Lanier because we then have the right to use that extra water. If we don't solve what we can statutorily use the water for, it doesn't do any good to raise the level. It doesn't do any good to dredge. We need to do all of those things, but we first of all have to establish the right to use the water for human consumption.
Making sure that we have this agreement with the three states. I remain, I'll call it cautiously optimistic that Governor Perdue and Governor Riley are going to be able to make some progress, in particular around the issue of guaranteed flows, as well as the issue of returning water back into the river. Those are two things that we must be able to come to an agreement on, and I think there's been some progress there because that will be the key to making sure that we can do what we can do with Lake Lanier. But as part of that, we have to also continue to do those things that are within our control here in the region in order to send the right message to our negotiating partners as well as to the courts. And that means dealing with the issues like moving forward on the network of reservoirs, dealing with the issue of lost water. I remain stunned that as the reports come out that we still don't have a clear number on how much water remains unaccounted for within the district, and that's a very key issue that we need to deal with.
Well, I want to go back to commending your local representatives, Mark Hamilton and Senator Jack Murphy and Senator Chip Pearson, for their work in passing the conservation bill. It is certainly a good step. It is the kind of good faith effort that our state has to show in order to go back. If we have to go back before the judge again, he's going to want to know, what have you in the state of Georgia done to show that you can conserve water? And I commend those gentlemen for taking that step and being a part of that, and I also thank them for their support. We're going to have to be prepared to show we have acted in good faith, that we have tried our best to do what we can do within our own resources. And if we are not able to solve this within the 3-year time allotted, if we have to go back, I want us to have as clean a hands as we can. I want us to have the best record we can. I want us to be able to show that we are returning the cleanest water possible back to the basins. I introduced legislation before I left Congress to give us credit for treated water. The judge acknowledges he did not give any credit for that in his ruling.
I think we've covered that.
Okay.